Guys, what if I told you that you could use ICEFALL Mantle on Warlock? You see, ICEFALL Mantle got reworked on Titan to where when you pop your class ability, you get the max amount of Frost Armor, and every time you gain Frost Armor, you get a chunk of health. And with this Warlock build, not only do I have unlimited class abilities, I literally have unlimited Frost Armor, insane Stasis Shard generation, while also getting my super insanely quick while doing activities like Expert Onslaught. And if you want to be a Titan player disguised as a Warlock, make sure you watch till the end of the video. And without further ado, let's get straight into the build. Now before we go any further, I want you guys to grab a Vesper of Radius. This makes it so that when you pop your rifts, they release an arc shockwave, which is nice, but honestly, the main reason that we're using this is because when you're surrounded, your rift energy recharges faster. And that's the main requirement of this, but now let's get into the subclass. And we're going to be using Stasis Warlock. Now, you can't change your super, but we can change our rift, and we're going to be using the healing rift. Now, unlike ICEFALL Mantle, I can't make it so that when you gain Frost Armor, you get healed, but this is close enough and arguably better. For the jump, pick what you like, and we're going to move on to the grenade since you also cannot choose your melee. We're going to be choosing Cold Snap grenades as these are going to make it a lot easier to get stasis shards since we need to freeze them. Why do we need to freeze them, you ask? Well, it's because of the aspect that I chose being Glacial Harvest. This aspect makes it so that when you freeze targets, stasis shards are surrounding the target that you froze. On top of that, when you pick up stasis shards, you get stacks of Frost Armor. This is going to be the core of our build, and we just need a lot of ways to freeze targets, and trust me, we got plenty of those. Especially with the next aspect, Frost Pulse. This simply just makes it when you cast your rift, you freeze everything around you, just like ICEFALL Mantle. And when pairing this with Vesper of Radius, you basically insta-shatter the moment you pop your rift, and it's pretty neat. But now moving on to the fragments, the first one we're going to take is Whisper of Refraction. This one's honestly a no-brainer as defeating slowed or frozen targets help you get your rift back quicker, and your rift already freezes. Next is Whisper of Fissures, and this increases the damage and size of the burst of any stasis shards or frozen targets. This is overall just a staple in any stasis build, and I don't see a reason why you wouldn't run it. But something that you could argue is Whisper of Conduction. This makes it so that stasis shards track towards you. Personally, I like to not think about this and just have them come towards me when I'm nearby them. And if you don't think you need it, some other good fragment options are Whisper of Torment, Whisper of Rending, or Whisper of Chains in my testing. Now the last fragment option we're taking is Whisper of Rime, as this increases our Frost Armor count from 5 to 8, and having 8 stacks of Frost Armor is equivalent to having 36% damage reduction, as well as having the timer increased up to 13 seconds. But with all that being said, let's move on to the weapons, armor, and artifact choices. Now in terms of weapons, I've really been digging the new hand cannon from Season of the Revenant. I don't really know how to say its name, but it has the Rime Stealer Headstone combo. Rime Stealer is a new perk that makes it so when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target with the weapon, you get Frost Armor. Fun fact is that when this perk is enhanced, you get 2 stacks of Frost Armor instead of 1. And then, you know, Headstone just makes a stasis crystal when you get a precision kill, and it goes pretty well with Rime Stealer. For the secondary weapon, it really doesn't matter what you use. I've been really enjoying the Festival of the Lost shotgun with Trench Barrel, because as of recording this video, Trench Barrel is bugged to its old version where when you melee, it doesn't just go away after 3 shots, and it's on a timer, so it actually does pretty good damage. Please don't let Bungie nerf this. Now for the heavy weapon, stay with me now. I know you see the gripper, but hear me out. With the catalyst, it makes this gun really good, especially with the artifact mods we have this season, as you basically have a Behemoth Titan super in your heavy slot, and it just has Rime Stealer, so all those crystals we're making, we're constantly getting Frost Armor. You can also use this weapon to keep your Frost Armor up or gain Frost Armor, as holding down the fire button and launching it sends stasis crystals, and destroying that gives us Frost Armor. Not only that, but it does pretty good damage to bosses. Moving on to the armor, we're going to be running double Dynamo, as this reduces the super cooldown when we use our class ability. This build is very class ability focused, so when we're always popping this, we're also working towards getting our super even more. I'm also running a Harmonic Siphon since I have stasis weapons and want to make orbs. For the gloves, I personally have a stasis loader, as I'm not a fan of how slow 120s reload. Fastball so I can throw my nades like Prime Derrick Rose, and a bolstering detonation so that we get class ability when our grenade does damage. For the chest, just match it to the enemy type. Then for the boots, we're going to be running insulation so that when we pick up an orb, our class ability comes back quicker. A recuperation so that we get a chunk of health when we pick up an orb. And elemental charge, as picking up an elemental pickup will make it have a chance of giving us an armor charge. We're making so many shards that I figured this is pretty good. Powerful attraction on the bond so that when casting our rift, we can pick up orbs. Distribution so that when we cast our rift around enemies, we get all of our ability cooldowns reduced. And then utility kickstart so that when we expend our armor charges, we get a chunk of our class ability back quicker. Now honestly, this is the important part in setting up your artifact, as this makes a good amount of what makes the build. The first one with frost, makes it so when frost armor is active, makes our stasis weapons feel better basically. Wind chill so that when we're using a stasis weapon, precision hits give us frost armor. Then crystalline converter makes it so that gathering shards goes towards the crystalline converter stacks. Then when expending your stasis powered melee, it creates stasis shards around the dude that you froze, equal to the number of stacks you had prior. Armor of Aramis is like an oh shit button, so when you have frost armor, you release like a slowing burst when you're at critical health. So in the chance that you don't have your rift up, this is pretty good to get people off you or just give you some time to breathe. Hail the Storm makes it so shattering stasis crystals release shards of ice damage and slows targets. This one is really goated, especially if you stuck with Salvation's Grip, as this can make it do more damage, and especially if you boost it with the tonic, it can do even more damage. Then I would say these two are the most important ones, as Brain Freeze makes it so that frozen targets basically get a dusk field around them, and Severed Coal is the best one out of all of them, as it makes it so that instead of stasis shards giving you melee energy, they go towards your class ability energy. And I kid you not, because of this, you can pop like rifts back to back to back, almost like you're playing Mayhem. But now that I've showed you how to set this all up, let me tell you how to play it. Now honestly, this build low-key kind of plays itself, as you can do many ways to start an engagement. You can honestly shoot your Salvation's Grip first to get some stacks of frost armor, then you can just go unga bunga into the enemy, cast your rift, freeze everything in sight, collect all the stasis shards to keep your frost armor up, get your class ability back quicker because of Severed Cold, and you can kind of sit in your rift to heal and keep all your frost armor going. And if you're still surrounded because you're in higher end content, remember, Vesper Radius gets your class ability back faster when you're surrounded. So then you get your class ability back and you can kind of move from spot to spot, casting rifts everywhere. And keep in mind, all these rifts you're casting have arc shockwaves going out. While you're doing all of this, you're tanky with 8 stacks of frost armor, you're healing, you're freezing everything. And if at some point you're about to lose your frost armor stacks, you can just use Salvation's Grip to pop some crystals, shoot it with a Rhyme Stealer weapon, and you're back to 8 stacks of frost armor. Not to mention, with double dynamo, if you're really getting butt fucked by all the enemies, you can just pop your super. Since we ran double dynamo, you're getting these supers so fast. And with all that being said, we've reached the end of the video. It means a lot that you made it this far, and it will mean a lot more if you like the video, as this helps me out a lot. While you're down there, consider subscribing, as I have a lot of fun builds in the future that you definitely don't want to miss out on. I would also like to hear from you guys in the comment section if you made any tweaks to this build, if you think it sucks, or if I should just use ICEFALL Mantle on Titan. Speaking of that, if you want to see a cool ICEFALL Mantle build that can get Devour, Frost Armor, Void Overshields, and become absolutely unkillable, you can watch the video popping up on screen right now. And with all that being said, thank you so much. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. Peace and love, baby.